So a little while ago, I asked you guys to drop your controversial NASCAR opinions on a community post in my tab. So today, we're going to review each and every opinion and whether or not I agree or disagree with them. So starting off the video with Jeff Gordon Fan 24, and he says, Kasey Kahne is the greatest NASCAR driver of all time. Bro is clearly trolling, but what I will say about Kasey Kahne is that Kasey Kahne was a decent driver in the 2000s and early 2010s, but after his 2013 season where he got 2 wins, was just never the same, despite getting 2 more wins in 2014 and 2017, and the one in 2017 came at the Brickyard. But after 2013 just was never really the same. Moving on, at Miguel Terra Barrida Silva, sorry if I botched that, my bad. 2015 was a great season. I don't know if he's trolling or not, but 2015 had great moments, but overall was not really a great season. The racing was absolute doggy poo-poo and was just not that good. At Bob Jeremy 45 says the Daytona road course is great. In my opinion, the road course was not a bad race. In the 2 races we had there, I don't think they were that bad. I thought the road course was a great stand-in race to fill in an empty slot on the schedule, and I think it did its part, but me personally, I would never schedule us to go there. At DWR38 says Ryan Blaney earned his 2023 championship, and I 100% agree. Now, in my opinion, every single champion that is crowned under the chase format is a deserving champion, and I think people need to quit calling them fake champions just because that they're not winning championships according to their rules. It's not Ryan Blaney's fault that the rules changed and that he won the championship because of it. So, cope. At DRMF7 says Spingate may have led to the new current playoff system. And I'm sorry my friend, but this is false. Spingate did not have anything to do with the playoffs, but Spingate in my opinion was probably one of the biggest scandals in NASCAR history. But on the playoff side of it, playoff talks and knockout style elimination formats were really going on between 2009 to 2012. At JD185 says upping the horsepower won't fix the short track package at all. Okay, I'm going to say something that's probably going to trigger a lot of you, but you people need to quit thinking that you're engineers, because you don't actually know what's going to happen until you actually test it out. Now, we have to experiment to make the short track package better, and the only way to do that is actual track testing and not doing simulators and not have a bunch of people in a YouTube comment section saying that, oh, just do this and it'll make it better. No, you need actual practice and actual results. And time will just tell if upping the horsepower will change it at all. At Uncle T for Life, probably one of my personal favorite commenters, says 2008 was a great season with a fun championship fight between the original Big Three. Now, if you haven't watched my Breaking the Chase 2008 episode, I recommend you go and watch it because it will provide context. But 2008 would have been probably one of the greatest championship battles between Carl Edwards, Jimmy Johnson, and Kyle Busch. With Kyle Busch having a really big late season collapse and Carl Edwards and Jimmy Johnson fighting it out for the championship, and it going down to the last race where Carl Edwards actually would have won it on fuel mileage. So 2008 was actually a great season. It's probably one of the more forgotten seasons in NASCAR. At Brandon A1 says Jeff Gordon and Richard Petty are the 2 greatest drivers in NASCAR history. Petty had the numbers and longevity, and Gordon was the most dominant and consistent driver ever. Now, he brings up a good point. Petty definitely had the numbers and longevity, but in my opinion, Petty raced in the most uncompetitive era in NASCAR and really wasn't challenged until the mid-70s. And when he was challenged before that, he lost. David Pearson, Bobby Allison, Cale Yarborough all beat him. But Jeff Gordon, in his prime, raced the most competitive era in NASCAR up until now, which I think now is the most competitive era. But back then in the 2000s and 90s, NASCAR was ultra competitive. But Jeff Gordon ended up prevailing 4 times when no one else even got twice. So Jeff Gordon, in my opinion, is the GOAT, and there will probably be a future video on this, but I'm going to leave it at that. At Sponge Zaza says, Joey Logano is a clean driver. I hope you're really trolling here, because I don't know if you're watching or not, but Joey Logano is one of the dirtiest drivers in NASCAR, but I don't really care, because he has the stats and accolades to back it up. So, yeah, Joey Logano is definitely not clean. At Molten Rage 41 says the 12-man chase was his favorite format, and wondering why they ever got rid of it. It was entertaining and legitimate at the same time, like anyone that won the championship under that format is a legitimate champion. In my opinion, if you win under any format, you're a legitimate champion. You have to rise to the rules that you're given, and those who rise deserve it the most. But the 12-man chase was a decent format, not my favorite, but it was still good. It was still a good mix between consistency and showing up in the moment. But yeah, I do agree with this comment. At Ryan Perez 4697 says the car of tomorrow was a really good car from 2010 to 2012, and they canned it way too early. Bonus take: Casey Mears was a good driver that just kept getting screwed directly or indirectly by every team he drove for. Okay, first part of it, car tomorrow. Car tomorrow is my favorite car. It produced some of the greatest racing. I know a lot of people say the Gen 4, but a lot of people say Gen 4 because they want to pull the nostalgia card. And people need to quit hanging on to the past and look towards the future. But the car tomorrow was really good. I love the car tomorrow. The Gen 5 car was really good on plate racing. The tandem drafting, I know a lot of people hate it, but me personally, I loved it because it gave us some of the most memorable moments in history. But the car was great on intermediates. It was really good at short tracks. The car was ultra durable and was just a great all-around car. Casey Mears, in my opinion, is what I call serviceable. Someone you can build your team around and would just do what you need him to. He's about as good as the equipment will give him. We saw it at Ganassi when he started his career. We saw it at Hendrick. We saw it at RCR, even though he really struggled at RCR. Then we saw it at Germain Racing. At Not Matty D, he says, Matt DiBenedetto is a good, humble driver, and people just give him flack for his ugly breakup with the Wood brothers and his moment at the end of the season. He performed at least way better than how Burton is doing now, and he also won the 2022 truck race at Talladega, fair and square. Okay, I'm going to offer up 3 points. Number 1, Matt DiBenedetto, in my opinion, is just a serviceable driver. He is not elite like everybody makes him out to be. Overrated. And a lot of people are going to bring up the whole Bristol thing, but at Bristol, that was like a 5th JGR car, basically. People are going to say, well, Levine didn't get as much support as Furniture Row, but it's like a 5th JGR car, so be quiet. Matt DiBenedetto is one of those drivers, he's as good as the equipment will take him. When he went to the Wood brothers in 2020, the season before in 2019, Paul Menard was able to finish 19th or 20th in points and almost made the playoffs. So making the playoffs was not a tall task for that car, because Paul Menard's not in the elite category. So all you gotta do is really be better than Menard. In 2020, he barely made the playoffs over an old Jimmy Johnson who wrecked out in the final race of the regular season. And in 2021, he followed that up with a really crappy year and missed the postseason by a lot. And then the whole truck race at Talladega, well, let's be real here. Anyone can win at Talladega. Parker Kligerman won there in that 75 truck. So, yeah. At Newman Fan Forever 39. The chase was a good compromise for people who like the full season points format and the current playoff format. And once again, like a comment I talked about earlier, very similar, and I agree with it 100%. At Luke Arnold 6758. Real stock car racing today is GT cars, not NASCAR type cars. Also, restrictor plate tracks and pack racing is more dangerous than being unrestricted. First part of this, real stock car racing today is GT cars. NASCAR is no longer a stock car racing series. It's more of a manufacturer, put your bumper on the front and have your own engine in the car. That's basically what it is nowadays, which I'm fine with. I know it's kind of what's evolved to, and I'm totally fine with it. Also, the second part of this, don't agree with it at all. I know having more people in a pack is dangerous, but being unrestricted, think about it. You have a car that can just go flat out all the way around the track. And these cars are proven with the current package to go up to 225 miles per hour just at Michigan. And imagine them going at Daytona with 33 degrees of banking working with them. And one of those cars blows a tire and gets turned backwards, it's going to go up in the air and can be absolutely catastrophic. At Gooey Burger 86, the Winston Cup format was not perfect and it definitely had issues. In my opinion, there is no perfect format for racing. A lot of people say, well, F1 points are perfect. No, F1 points are not perfect. I think the F1 point system needs to be redone. because it's absolutely stupid that only the top 10 drivers get points. But that's just my opinion. But the Winston Cup format is not perfect, and like he said, it definitely had issues, but it was probably the best thing we've had up to this point. At Rudy K 5518, the new TV deal is devastating. Going from 20 network races down to 9, it absolutely shows how NASCAR is not taking itself seriously. Sure, the streaming thing is an intriguing one, but that's the minority of the schedule. Heck, today's IndyCar deal features more network races than NASCAR is getting next year. 21 cable races is not the recipe for growth in the sport. Yeah, I was kind of disappointed when I heard about the new TV deal and how some races were going to be on cable to start it. In my opinion, by the end of the TV deal, I think all the races that are on Fox and NBC will be on network TV. Like kind of how it is now with the current TV deal. NASCAR changes up how many races are on network and cable each year. So I think by the end of it, cable will kind of be phased out and all the races will be on network TV. But except for TNT and the HBO mashup. At manga_mav. Sam Mayer is the next big villain in NASCAR. Also, Penske are on the decline and likely won't win much, if at all, this season. Okay, first part of it, Sam Mayer, he is definitely going to be a big villain in NASCAR. Because every win he's gotten has raced absolutely dirty. Like, I'd say, in my opinion, worse than Ty Gibbs. No, not really. Probably on the same level, though. Sam Mayer, he needs to clean this up if he ever has any hope of being a Cup driver one day. Second part of this, Penske are on the decline. 100% false, because Penske has won the last 2 championships with 2 different drivers. And I can see where people are coming from with this, because Ford doesn't win a lot of races during the regular season, but they win a lot in the postseason. But Penske are definitely not on the decline, and I think they will continue to win races and championships. At DeadXAiry, NASCAR doesn't give a poo-poo about the opinions provided by the drivers and fans to improve the sport. Also, getting canceled was the best thing to happen for Larson's career. First part of it, NASCAR doesn't care about the drivers and fans, is 100% false. I know some things that it seems like they're against fans, but let's be real here, NASCAR fans are absolutely freaking whiny. Like, we bring back North Wilkesboro and the racing isn't as good the first year, everybody's like, oh, take it off the schedule. And everybody hates on Texas when Texas, in my opinion, really isn't that bad of a track. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say it's the greatest. I'd say it's lower tier, but not terrible. But second part of it, also getting canceled was the best thing to happen for Larson. In my opinion, not really. I think the only difference would be now is that he'd go to Hendrick with actual funding and not Hendrick paying with it by his own company. Because I think Larson was headed to Hendrick regardless. Because when Jimmy Johnson announced his retirement, Kyle Larson was heavily rumored to be going to Hendrick. So I disagree with that. At Bryson L-UK1GS, Homestead Miami was not a great championship race from 2018 to 2019. Yeah, those 2018 and 2019 races kind of sucked, but every other championship race from Homestead has been pretty decent. I've always liked Homestead as a finale, and if you didn't see my previous schedule video, go watch it and you'll know that I moved this back to the finale. At Andre Pardo 931 says, Hendrick Motorsports cheats at least once a season, and when they are caught, they just pay NASCAR, or NASCAR lets them slide, because they have the most fans out of any team in the garage. Yes, I'm a Hendrick hater, but I truly believe it's at least partially true. Yeah, I will say, it is a little suspicious when Hendrick Motorsports gets slammed for all 4 cars with 100-point penalties, but when Colleague got hit with their 100-point penalty, it was upheld until NASCAR eventually rescinded it. But yeah, it is a little bit suspicious. So I think that this might be true, but I don't know. At Bryson L-UK1GS again, he says, in my opinion, the LA Coliseum is way better than Daytona, because everyone wants Daytona to be in the Clash. To be honest, the Daytona Clash was very boring. There was nothing special besides the crashes in the last 20 laps of the race. The Clash at the Coliseum is consistently better race lap after lap. Daytona won't be exciting like it was before the Clash. Yeah, I agree. I don't think they should go back to Daytona. I think the Clash should be kind of how everybody wants it to be, an experiment. I like the idea of building tracks inside a stadium. Like, I think the next place they should go is MetLife, because the NYC market is basically untouched. But yeah, I do agree with this 100%. At Colt DeBolt 85, the Talladega races are not great. I 100% disagree with you, son. The Talladega races, just go to one in person and it will completely change your mind on it. I like Talladega. I think they're some of the greatest races of the year. I can see why some people hate them, because sometimes towards the end it gets a little crash happy, but the Talladega races are always good shows to watch on TV or in person. At C-Rad 95, people only like super speedway races because of the multiple big one crashes. Yeah, this is definitely true. Some people do. Me personally, I like it just because super speedway racing is really intense, having a bunch of cars just tightly bound together and in one really small space, and knowing that anything can happen at any time. But yeah, this is partially true. Some fans do like it for this. And now to end the video, I'm going to offer 3 controversial opinions of my own. Number 1, Bubba Wallace will never be a championship caliber driver. Bubba, in my opinion, is just over emotional, and that one day is going to bite him in the ass. He will get over emotional one day in a big moment and he will choke. And also, Bubba is, in my opinion, at best, a decent driver. Not championship caliber in the slightest, or elite. Bubba in Xfinity did absolutely nothing. He didn't win a single race, never made the Final Four, best finish in points was 6th, just never did anything in Xfinity, back when it was really, really uncompetitive. And got a cup ride because he put up some 6 mediocre ass starts in Richard Petty Motorsports equipment. Number 2, stage racing is awful. Stages are just NASCAR's way of throwing cautions for gets and shiggles. Used to, it was the phantom debris cautions, and now it's stage racing. So, in stages, delegitimize the sport by bringing out an unneeded caution. And also, points should not be handed out 30 laps into a 200 lap race. That's just stupid. And the last one, and I will probably lose a few subscribers over this, but Chase Elliott is absolutely overrated. I can already hear all the Elliott fans clamoring, but he won a championship. Oh, but he won a bunch of races. Oh. But Chase Elliott, at best, is elite, but he is nowhere near as good as Larson and arguably William Byron. Ever since Kyle Larson came into the sport, Chase Elliott has been unheard of. And I know in 2022 he won 5 races and probably would have walked up the championship a week early, but in my opinion, 2022 is really going to come down to who could figure out the next gen car first, and it ended up being Elliott's crew. And at the end of the season, when everybody else figured it out, he only got 2 top 10s in the entire playoffs. So I don't want to hear it. And in 2023, he just straight up sucked, and he threw a temper tantrum, got him suspended, and possibly cost him a chase spot. So yeah, cope, Elliott fans. Anyway, that's going to do it for today. I'll see you guys next time for another video. Y'all have a good one.